you've, over the years, regularly been to China and seen the growth and development within the country. Does it amaze you sometimes as you look at the progression to see what's happened?
China, I've been going to China for 40 years, and it's an amazing place, as is Asia. But China particularly, to watch, you come back a couple of years later, you visit a city, and all of a sudden there's 20 million people and buildings up to the sky. It looks like Manhattan. It's a shocking place, and what's happened in China in the last 30 years is incredible. I mean, the development of that country, to watch that country become so big and so powerful and grow so well, it's pretty amazing, and it's fun to watch. Yves Carcel used to run Louis Vuitton, who's passed away, was a good friend of mine, and we used to compare notes about China, because he was building stores in the 90s, and he would mention cities I hadn't heard of. You know, well, Rob, there's 8 million people there. And he was a visionary and a brilliant guy, and I think he saw, he was the first person made me realize 30 years ago that China was just going to become a consumer, a very important consumer place, but also as a part of the world's most powerful countries. China was undeniable even back in the 90s before it got to its full potential. I think you're going to see, though, even greater things in the years ahead. I think you're going to see it in Asia in general. You can't deny the power of some of those governments and some of the population and where those countries can go. And China is certainly among the leaders, if not the leader.
As you mentioned, Rob, LVS really being an Asian company in many ways today, on the talent side, how important has it been to be able to find the talent there, the trained talent, and to invest in that talent?
It's critical beyond critical. I mean, I think our teams today are so much better than they were in the early days, but they're mostly local dominant, especially in Macau. I'm very proud of the team we built in Macau. I mean, Wilfred Wong and Grant Chum and Dave Sun and the people that run our Macau business. Not only do I have complete respect for them, but their integrity, their focus, having local representation to me was critical. In the early days, Macau was always moving people from the U.S. there. So you always saw these people that were U.S. citizens, and it didn't feel right. And today, to have a team which is all local, speaks the language, understands it's incredibly invaluable. For me, when you make those early morning, late night phone calls, you listen to their perspective. It's so different from me as an American born and bred. I've lived here my whole life. I think it's invaluable, and the development and the maturation of those people has been fun to be part of. It's been a great process. In the early days, everybody right away would fly in a U.S. person to be Singapore, Macau, any project we did. Today, I would never think to do that. I wouldn't even think about bringing a U.S. person to those places.
As you look at growth going forward, you talk about tremendous opportunities in Asia. Where do you see that growth coming from?
Well, internal growth in our company will come first from our existing buildings. I have a huge belief in the Macau market. I think Macau will flourish again. We like to invest more money in Macau. We have a strong belief. I know everyone says, oh, it's not the same, it's different. We'll be fine. We'll be more than happy to invest in Macau, and we're big believers in the future of that market. We're obviously very, very pleased to be in Singapore. That market will spend more money and probably build another building, hopefully break ground in the next 18 months on a second MBS project. There'll be billions of dollars of investment. The Singapore market speaks for itself. It's spectacular and getting better. We're looking at other jurisdictions in Asia. But if we never leave Macau and Singapore and just grow there, we can deploy billions of dollars and grow quite well in those markets. I'd like to think there'll be a third jurisdiction that emerges in Asia for us to build something spectacular, something of scale like we do in Singapore and Macau.
You've been in leadership roles throughout your career. You're around a lot of CEOs, you work closely with them. When you look at leadership today, what do you see as the key qualities for effective leadership?
Depends on the job and depends on the CEO, but I think from my perspective, hiring the right people has always been paramount to success. Integrity, loyalty, but also I think getting the right talent around you to run these businesses. The one thing I've come to respect is having people who work for you and work with you that can tell you when you're right and wrong, can give you a unique perspective, and create an environment they can speak their mind. It sounds easy, and everyone says it, but it's very hard to do that. most people I find who run big businesses have a tendency to trust their own instincts and not listen carefully enough. And they tend to, well, here's how I would do it. Well, I think if you're going to hire great talent, then at least have the courtesy to listen and listen hard to what they're saying. And I think if you build that in your workforce, you're going to be better off as the person running the company's better off. And I think in today's very challenging, very difficult environment, it's more pivotal than ever to take that approach if you're going to run a business. Again, we've been through 3 years of beyond challenging. I can't even imagine in 2020 that this could have occurred. It's only been 3 years, but it feels like a lifetime. And more than ever, our people in the field, our people in Asia, and when we had the U.S., are pivotal to the company's future and instructive and able to navigate what has really been a very difficult time. I think we're seeing the end of it. I can see the light, but without those people, I don't think we would have gotten here.
On the development side, you also talk about responsible development, focus on sustainability. Can you talk about that when you look at the actual business?
Yeah, we've been believers in that way before it was popular, before it became part of the popular culture. I remember back in the early days being very, the people in the development team were stressing that back when I didn't quite understand the whole, the ecosystem, how that works. We've been believers in that. We continue to believe in it. It's reflected in our buildings, reflected in what we've constructed, and it'll be part of our future plans for future construction. So that commitment will never go away.